So I'm talking today with Vicki Lamprin. She's a local activist, and she's also a member, and from the beginning, if I believe, of the Green Mountain Mask Makers here in Bennington.
It's an amazing group of folks.
But for right now, let's talk about what Green Mountain Mask Makers has been doing, and since the beginning of this.
Right. So it was kind of, there were a bunch of us who were individually making masks. Most of us using up our quilt stash, our fabric, our own fabric. And as we began to post things on Facebook, we coalesced into a group. Dr. Avery Wood kind of said, hey, you guys, you need to work together, which we did, fundraising money. We had a local fabric shop give us a hefty discount to purchase the fabric that we needed. And just friends and neighbors donating money.
Just approximation, how many masks do you think as a group you guys have distributed in the community so far?
Oh, I don't need to approximate that at all. 7,123.
That's amazing. 123.
Right. There's about 25 folks involved in this. I want to say women but that's not accurate. There were two gentlemen who wanted to sew, and we said, great. And I put a fabric kit together with some elastic, and we had a no contact drop off on my front porch. And I could see that they were standing there looking at this bag like, oh, what do I do with this? So I dropped my window down on the, in the dining room, and I said, hi, what can I do for you? And the gentleman looked at me and said, we don't have a sewing machine. So I said, well, that's okay. I've got an extra one. I'll loan it to you. And they said, well, we don't know how to use it. Oh. And I said, oh, okay. Well, we want to sew them by hand. And I said, that can absolutely be done. Absolutely. And they said, well, do you have any thread? So I went and got some thread, and they put the thread in the bag, and the guy said, oh, we need sewing needles. So I went and got sewing needles. And those two gentlemen, every single week, they dropped off 10 hand-sewn masks.
Let's talk about masks. I was reading an article in USA Today a couple of days ago talking about the care. When should you replace a cloth mask? And I never really even thought about that. So what is the wear and tear, and what's the proper care of a cloth mask, Vicki?
Wear and tear, the part of the mask that takes the most beating is the elastic. The elastic that we've all had access to is not industrial strength. I don't know what other term to use. It's just regular sewing elastic. And that takes a beating. That's why I tell folks, I just throw a few masks at the end of the day into a baggie, plastic baggie with some soap, shake it all up, dump it out, rinse them off, and then I put them over the handle on the stove, and they're dry by morning. When you put them in the dryer, the deterioration of the elastic happens much faster. Got to remember, if you're wearing them all day long, there's bacteria, there's germs, there's sweat from your body. You want to get that out of there.
Right. So that makes a lot of sense to me now, because I do have a couple of masks that I've had from the beginning where they got to where I had to quit wearing them because they started slipping down the nose. And so that's the elastic, just, the wear and tear. So that's one thing. If the mask is slipping down off the nose, it's not protecting nobody else. So there's some people who can't wear the elastic. And that you do also make masks in the tie?
Yeah, exactly. In the beginning, a friend of mine who works for Vermont Center for Independent Living called me up, and she said, I was dropping off some groceries to someone who needed some assistance, and there was a couple standing on the porch, and they're flagging me down. And she said, they had masks on, but they came running over and said, oh, where did you get your mask? Because the one that the VCIL person had untied up behind the back of the head and the neck. Come to find out, they said, we need new masks. And she was looking at them like, but you have masks on. And I said, no, our hearing aids. If we put the elastic around our ears, we lose our hearing aids. Wow, it's one more thing to take into consideration when you're trying to do your best for people.
Doing your best for people. On December 10th, the Rights and Democracy Institute is awarding the Green Mountain Mask Makers a humanitarian award for your efforts
Hmm.
down here in Vermont. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Every year we have an awards ceremony. It's just an amazing program.
This will be virtual this year, correct?
It is. It's going to be on Zoom. We take seriously the 6 foot social distancing and mask wearing, obviously. And we've just decided it's safer than to even try to converge in an auditorium and stay 6 feet apart.
Right.
It's just not best practice. So we're going to do it on Zoom this year.
One thing I know, because some people hear Rights and Democracy Institute, in your own words, explain to me how this is not some liberal. We're trying to protect everybody here.
So I don't think you can label human health as liberal, left, right, Republican, Democrat, independent. That label doesn't fit anywhere in there. When you believe that healthcare is a human right, which, that's one of the things that Rights and Democracy so fights for so much. You don't label it a liberal. It's common decency. It's common sense.
Have the Green Mountain Mask Makers ever had a chance to actually meet in person? Or is that something that hopefully down the road this may happen, even if it's Willow Park and everybody's standing 6 feet apart?
Well, that was, we originally said, oh, gee, this summer we're gonna have a picnic at Willow Park. We're gonna, share food and talk to each other and meet each other. Well, that hasn't happened because obviously of COVID. And when you're trying to promote health and not spreading COVID, the last thing you want to do is have a big gathering. I will say that out of the 25 or 30, however many there were, I've only met one. Her name is Barb Fitzgerald, and she handled every piece of email that came our way. Like Andrea Baki, who set up the Google Sheets for us. What, do they need kids or adults? Is it a school? Is it a nursing home? So it was a little more intense than we thought it was going to be.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much for your time today, and especially thank you for all the hard work that your group, the Green Mountain Mask Makers, have done, and congratulate you folks on winning this award. Well deserved.
Yeah.
And thank you.